Good morning. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. Good to see all of you guys. Happy Thursday. It is September 14th. And yeah, we're just going to watch some other videos around YouTube and see what the news is today. So we have some Brian Armstrong stuff that he's talking about the SEC being very hostile to crypto in general. And yeah, some other stuff. So let's see who's in the chat and then we'll go from there. What's going on? Fudweiser, All Track Mining. What's up, buddy? I don't know why I said All Track Mining. It's just All Track. Sadie, sometimes. We have Regilio. Good to see you. Andrew Masad. Are you feeling older? Yes. My knee hurts today. Not gonna lie. The bouncing on trampolines yesterday for my birthday with my kids was a slightly bad decision. Let's put it that way. No, it was all right. It was fun. We had fun. My son was getting a little aggravated. He couldn't climb the trampoline wall, but other than that, we had a good time. So I appreciate you for asking. Let's see, Dan R. Let's see who else is here. Leo Lustig. We have Dom G, my man. Paddywhack Miner, Yeti. Good to see you as well. Steven Cicero, Dumpster Fire. You guys are all awesome. Appreciate you for hanging out here. Duke Nukem, Mo. Is that how you say your name? M-O-H. I think that's how you say it. Sloth Squatch, what's up? Only 364 days until your next birthday. Thanks. Appreciate it, Sloth Squatch. All right. Let's get into this and see yeah, let's see what the market's looking like today. We have Bitcoin 26,426, Ethereum 1624, not too bad. Everything's green today. Everything's green. XRP 48 cents, not too bad. Litecoin 62 bucks. We have Dogecoin 6 cents. Everything's looking pretty decent. Let's check out the crypto bubbles over here. This is on the day. Literally everything. So there's only a couple things that are down really. XLM's 2%. This is the top 100 coins, by the way. This isn't like every coin, right? Ton's down 3.9%. We have Clayton. Is that how you say that? I don't know. 5.5%. Never heard of that. XRD. Yeah. Radax. Let's see. Caspa is up 4.5%, which is pretty cool. What's that at? Almost 5 cents. Jeez. Dude, Caspa's been pumping the last few days. What is going on here? That's nice. DJ says Bitcoin and Tesla green, all you need in life. There you go, buddy. Yeah, I should probably get into stocks, but I'm unfortunately not. I'm too much of a pussy. I don't like dealing with too many tax things, you know. Crypto's enough. I don't need to deal with stocks too. I don't need that in my life. All right, let's check out Fear and Greed Index. What do we have? We have 45. Still pretty good. Yesterday, last week, why? Oh, actually, you know what? That was 2 days ago. The fear was like 35. It was actually in the red, which is surprising. So I still overall think we still need to see a way more fearful chart. I hate to say that. I really don't want to see that, but I think that's not out of the realm of possibilities. All right, let's see top 10 coins by coin market cap. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, USD Coin, XRP, Lido, Staked, Ether, Cardano, Dogecoin, and Solana. We have Litecoin still down at 15th, and Shiba dropped down a peg. Look at that. Wrap Bitcoin actually jumped above it in 17th, in 16th rather. And Shiba's in 17th. Interesting. All right, let's get into this. So what we do here is pretty much watch news articles around the YouTube space, try to find out what's the most popular or the most hot topic of the day, right? So what we're gonna do is just watch Crypto World. I usually like to start off with this because they kind of sum things up pretty well, at least in my opinion. Well, they get like a grasp of most things, right? And then we're gonna jump into Yahoo Finance, where they actually do talk to Brian Armstrong. It's like a 12-minute clip, but it's pretty insightful, so I like to hear what he has to say. He's a very good speaker. So no further ado, let's dive into this. If you guys have any questions, again, feel free to ask in the chat, and we'll go from there. I might actually stop this a little short. I don't know who this guy is that she's talking to, but we'll see. All right, let's do it.
Today, the CEO of Binance US steps down amid a wave of layoffs for the crypto exchange. The co-founder of a crypto fraud scheme gets 20 years in prison while his partner remains on the run. Cello co-founder Renee Reinsberg reacts to the wave of crypto firms expanding overseas. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea McKeel. Digital currencies inching higher as of noon Eastern. Bitcoin was trading above $26,000, Ether at $1,600, and XRP rose to 48 cents. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Binance US is making major cuts to its workforce. The US affiliate of the world's largest crypto exchange is laying off a third of its staff in the wake of legal challenges from the SEC. That's messed up, huh? Did you guys hear about this? They cut a third of the staff at Binance US. At the same time, Binance US's CEO Brian Schroeder is leaving the company. In a statement shared with us, Binance US said the action... Do you have makeup on? He definitely has makeup on. Is that makeup or is that me? I don't know.
Sorry, I had to ask.
Company.
Squirrel.
The statement shared with us, Binance US said the actions we are taking provide Binance US with more than 7 years of financial runway and enable us to continue to serve our customers while we operate as a crypto-only exchange. The company also blasted the SEC, claiming it attempted to cripple its industry. Sticking with the SEC, the agency just fined the creator of the Stoner Cats web series $1 million over the unregistered offering of NFTs. The SEC claims the company, Stoner Cats LLC, sold unregistered crypto asset securities in the form of NFTs, raising about $8 million to finance an animated web series.
I've never heard of this. Have you guys heard of this? Stoner Cats? That's hysterical.
The project featured big-name actors like Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, Chris
funny.
Rock, and Jane Fonda. In fact, Kunis is actually listed as a producer and investor in the project. We reached out to Stoner Cats about the settlement, but haven't heard back yet. Finally, the co-founder of the OneCoin crypto fraud just got 20 years in prison. Carl Greenwood orchestrated the multi-level marketing fraud, which stole more than $4 billion from investors around the globe. He pleaded guilty to wire fraud and money laundering back in December. His partner, though, Ruja Ignatova, who's better known as Crypto Queen, remains at large. She still sits on the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
What?
Both Greenwood and Ignatova consistently portrayed OneCoin as being the next Bitcoin, but the DOJ says the token actually had no value at all.
What? This lady running from the police? She's on the top 10 most wanted list? What?
All right, for our main story. Today, the blockchain Celo launched a new stablecoin wallet in Africa with the help of web browsing giant Opera. The goal is to bring low-cost, near-instant payments to the region. Crypto World's Talia Kaplan caught up with Celo co-founder Renee Reinsberg about the new wallet and the growth of crypto around the globe.
Real quick in the chat, Game with Smokey Dan said thoughts on Zergpool BTC payouts due to high fees. I don't use Zergpool, to be honest, and I haven't seen any information on it, but that's neat. Does anybody aware of that? If you guys want, you can talk amongst yourselves, obviously, in the chat, but if you have anything we want to look up, let me know.
Here in the US, we're hearing a lot about crypto companies expanding overseas amid the backdrop of regulatory uncertainty. I spoke with the CEO of the publicly traded crypto company Backed last week, and he outlined his international expansion plans, which includes Latin America, the UK, the European Union, and Australia. Coinbase, another publicly traded company here in the US, told us last week that the firm is looking abroad as regulation in the States remains uncertain. According to a blog post, the crypto exchange is prioritizing markets in Canada, Brazil, Singapore, Australia, and Europe. In fact, Coinbase went so far as to say the EU is leading the way when it comes to regulation. What do you make of that statement, and what do you think about these US companies expanding abroad? What do you think that signals?
Yeah, and sometimes we tend to have a more of a, too of a US centric view, but yeah, definitely what I've been noticing is that the excitement is right now, especially in countries where maybe regulation is clear or regulation is on the way, is getting stronger. But also, if you look at, I think it was published yesterday, the Chainalysis Crypto Adoption Index, which always kind of looks at kind of different countries. A country like Nigeria ranks second there, and I think that's interesting too, because you really have a lot of the crypto as an infrastructure, Web3 as an infrastructure, starting to power applications where maybe from a user perspective that's abstracted away, but the infrastructure is actually helpful in enabling new use cases. So to me, yeah, I think it's not a surprise to see Coinbase and others to look more into international markets and international growth, because I think the demand for this innovation tends to actually be stronger right now in those markets, and sort of clearer guardrails around what's possible. Not to say that the build energy is not high in the US, but certainly the uncertainty from a regulatory perspective is having people who have the flexibility, the mobility to move around, right? Think about where to start their projects, and many of them are looking overseas or looking abroad.
Absolutely. And speaking of publicly traded companies, today you announced a new partnership with Opera, a multi-platform web browser. Now, Opera is launching what's called MiniPay, a new stablecoin wallet built on your blockchain, Celo, with the goal of onboarding millions of users across Africa to Web3. Now, this stablecoin wallet offers quick and cost-effective stablecoin transfers. Can you explain how MiniPay works exactly, and why do you believe something like this is so important? What can it do for people in Africa in terms of financial transactions?
Yes, no, we're super. I mean, I'm personally super excited, but as a community, we're really excited about this launch. When we first started working on Cello, a lot of the friction that we um, saw around how crypto can be adopted in the real world, was around simple things like people don't want to deal with public keys, or the complexity around this is high, right? Why not instead use phone numbers? Or it's very hard to cash in and out of crypto in many markets, especially if you're trying to do this from, say, mobile money. Also, on most blockchains, in order to pay for transactions, you need the native token, right? So on Ethereum, you need ETH. But what if you just got some stable coin and you want to send it to a friend, right? There's friction. There's a lot of little friction. And over the years, with sort of the seller community, a lot of these problems have been tackled. And a lot of times when we're kind of in Africa and meeting users, projects there, I think what we noticed is that there's really, and Opera had been in the ecosystem as a partner for a long time, but what we've noticed is almost everyone in Africa uses Opera Mini, which is a very popular Android browser, 90% market share. Over 100 million people use Opera in Africa, and so at some point it was like, well, what if there could be a wallet directly built into the browser and make it super easy for people to like use dApps, but also send payments and do that across the continent and like longer term the whole world. And so today.
Does anybody really care what this guy's talking about? As soon as I heard browser wallet, I'm just not interested anymore. You guys let me know if you want to keep listening.
The product
to this.
went live in Nigeria.
I really don't want to.
It's a really big milestone. Early feedback has been really positive. So for the last few weeks, it's been
Okay, next. Sorry, dude. This art behind you is total shit, by the way. Fuck. What is this? It's like give my kid a paintbrush, let him hit the wall a couple times. What is happening? All right. Anyways, let's get into the actual meat and potatoes here. Meat and potatoes. There we go. Coinbase Brian Armstrong joins Yahoo Finance talking shit about the SEC. Let's see what he has to say.
All right, Yahoo Finance still stationed at the Goldman Sachs Communacopia conference in San Francisco, talking some tech, talking some media. Let's talk a little crypto and tech. Coinbase co-founder, chairman and CEO Brian Armstrong. Welcome to Yahoo Finance for the first time. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. I really enjoyed your company's blog post today.
I don't know what happened to his mic right at the thanks for having me part, but it doesn't sound like that the rest of the time.
Saying, you know what, if we can't get it done here in the U.S., we're going to look overseas. Talk us through what made you post something like that.
Yeah, well, we're not going anywhere out of the U.S. The U.S. is our biggest market, but we do look at everywhere around the world, and we look for regulatory clarity, and that helps us prioritize our investments. So, a really interesting stat, 83% of the G20 countries now either already have crypto legislation or it's in progress. And that's attractive for us. That's where we're going to go invest. The U.S. is a little bit of a laggard here, but I'm sure the U.S. is going to get there too. We were seeing Congress have a couple bills go through the House. We're seeing the courts come out with favorable rulings. We're gonna get there eventually in the U.S. too. So yeah, Coinbase is going to be a U.S. company with a multinational reach.
What countries are you focused on overseas?
Well, we just launched in Canada last month. That was great. We did a pre-registration statement with the regulator in Canada. It's been really great to work with. We launched a payment rail integration, Interac, in Canada. We also launched in May our international derivatives exchange, which is important. Derivatives trading is a big piece of the crypto ecosystem. We need to make sure we're playing there. So we launched that. So we're going to keep going country by country in major markets. We're also going to make sure that the U.S. is taken care of. We just got approved with our FCM license in the U.S. for derivatives trading. So those will be big.
Why are these other countries more open to what you do than the United States?
That is a good question. The political environment is tough sometimes in the U.S. People each have their own interests, but the good news is that there's rule of law in the U.S. and that has to be followed. So the courts are making sure that that's being enforced. When I go meet with members of Congress, I think there's broad recognition that this technology is important. It's not going anywhere, and it needs to be done in a safe and trusted way for American consumers to make sure this doesn't go offshore. There's important national security implications of that too for the U.S. I mean, look what happened with 5G and semiconductors. This stuff moved offshore, and now we're trying to fight like hell to get it back onshore. And so in the U.S., we need to make sure we get the legislation in place that other places like Europe have already done.
As a founder or co-founder, you just get frustrated having to deal with all this? Don't you just want to be able to get your technology out there and help people and bring your vision to life?
Well, one important part of being a founder is to never give up. And there's always some new challenge that's being presented in front of you. Sometimes those are technology challenges, and those are important. Frankly, I'd rather we were just focusing on the product and the technology. But if it comes in the form of we don't have regulatory clarity or there's hostility, anytime you enter a new market, there's going to be entrenched incumbents that they have some resistance to that. That's the history of all technology, whether it was the internet, the electric car. Like you go back when the bicycle was introduced into American society, people were skeptical of it, and it's because it changes the way society works, and it brings about a lot of improvements, but it's a shift. And the old.
We've gotten this question before from investors. Now that we finally were able to talk to you, let me ask you this. I mean, do you think
Sorry, before I get into that question. So if you guys haven't seen my video that I dropped the other day on my channel with the Kevin O'Leary on the thumbnail, he talks, somebody in there, it's Durgy, I think his last name is. It was one of the speakers that I had clipped like a section of it. He talks about how it takes 13 years for adoption to really start taking place. And he kind of explained it like perfect, right? Kind of in comparison to where he just said that, bicycles, when they were invented, it was like a total mind F when it comes to like society in general, learning how to live with a new tool like that, right? So that it's kind of like along the same line. So if you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. His name's Andrew Durgy. That's what it was. Thank you very much, Miss Pocket Change, and good morning.
The SEC just doesn't want you to succeed?
I don't want to comment too much personally. And the SEC, by the way, is made up of many different people.
He's so smart when he talks. You hear he said that, like, I don't want to comment personally because he doesn't want to, he says slips up one time and he's just getting sued. Like, that's how it goes.
You have really good relationships, I think, with the staff that are at the SEC, many of the commissioners. I do think the leadership there has taken a very hostile view towards crypto regulation by enforcement posture instead of just engaging in rulemaking as they're required to by law under the Administrative Procedures Act. And so, that's the courts have now pushed back, which is good. But I think somehow this is going to be resolved, whether it's the CFTC stepping up, Congress creating new legislation, the courts creating that clarity, or maybe next year we'll have a different SEC chair. Somehow this is going to get resolved in the U.S. And it's like that old Winston Churchill quote, right? It's that the U.S. Always does the right thing, but only after exhausting every other option.
Facts.
To realize your ultimate vision for this company, does someone else besides Gary Gensler need to be in that seat?
I don't think so. I mean, that would certainly.
In the back of his mind, he's like, fuck Gary.
Help, but in this environment right now in the U.S. for us, it's kind of business as usual. We're continuing to operate. There's more developers entering the crypto ecosystem every year, even if the prices are down. And frankly, if you look at the last 11 years of Coinbase's history, we've gone through 4 cycles now like this, where the prices go up, the prices come down, but every time it's at a new plateau, right? I mean, if you look at trough to trough, we're way up over 2019. It's hard for us, if you zoom out, it's kind of hard for us to feel like we're really in a crypto winter. I mean, Bitcoin's still over 20,000. And we take a long-term perspective on these things. So we're unfazed, we're unflappable, we're not going anywhere, we're gonna keep building, and this technology is gonna benefit, hopefully 1 billion or more people around the world someday.
What's your...
so he actually goes on, he mentions a new coin that they're like developing or something in a little bit that I caught wind of, and I want to know if you guys have ever heard of it. So when we get to it, I'm going to stop it and I want to Google it real quick.
Or take
I don't know what it is.
on the spot Bitcoin ETF. Is that something that will ignite the next move higher in crypto and the crypto winter?
Yeah, it's been great to see so many ETF applications being filed, especially by these blue chip firms, Fidelity, BlackRock, the biggest names in traditional financial services. So, and by the way, Coinbase has been named as the custodian on all but one of these ETF applications that's been filed. So we have an important role to play here in the ecosystem. But, it shows that new pools of capital could come in when these ETFs get approved. That's exciting. I personally think it's very additive. Sometimes people think, oh, isn't that going to be competitive with Coinbase? We want crypto to be integrated into all aspects of the financial services industry. Every bank, every ETF, every payment channel. We just saw this week, Visa said they're going to be having USD coin move over the rails. We want it to be integrated into all aspects of the financial services industry.
In some respects, though, is it tough to see? I mean, this is a currency or technology that was the anti-currency. Now you have these big financial institutions coming in here, throwing their weight around.
Yeah. Well, I think stablecoins are a really important stepping stone, So in crypto writ large, it's the most important technology out there to update the financial system, right? We've seen that 67% of Americans think that the financial system is in need of a major update. Crypto is the best opportunity to do that. So yes, we're going to have decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. We're going to have things like Ethereum that are building new application platforms on top that are totally decentralized. But if we need to get people, sometimes you have to meet people where they are, right? And so if they want to use US dollars for now, that's great. We have now US dollars running on crypto rails that are more efficient, more global. They allow you to do cross-border transactions or send small amounts to people no matter what country they're in. So these things are all going to help the crypto ecosystem grow and get to that decentralized vision.
I think you put out a tweet recently. I really liked it. You said bear markets are the best time for building. So what else are you building at Coinbase?
Yeah.
What should an investor expect to come up on the platform a year from now?
Yeah, well, I don't want to pre-announce anything here, but a couple big ones we've talked about recently. So we launched Base, which is our layer 2 solution that's helping blockchains scale. We need to get the costs down, the confirmation times down to be really competitive. And, payments flow to the path of least resistance. The less friction you can make, the more payments there will be. We've also been investing a lot in our derivatives platform. So, I mentioned that internationally, both and then in the US as well. So we'll keep pushing on a few of those. I also put out a blog post talking about some of the future ideas on the horizon. And a number of, our venture investments might go into things like that. But I talked about flat coins, which is kind of the next iteration of stable coins that's more maybe linked to CPI or purchasing power. I talked about
flat coin.
Flat coins. So like this can't be it. This can't be it. This thing that I'm looking at right here. This can't be it. This says flat. Oh, it's just, no, that's not even close to it. Never mind. That's not it. I have to find this. If anybody knows the information on this flat coins thing, let me know.
Yeah, Flatcoin is...
Where is that? Is that just only now developing? I've never heard of Flatcoin.
Yeah, it's a new thing on the horizon. There's a couple teams working on it. We're not building something in that realm yet, but we're interested in it. And, how could decentralized reputation protocols work? Or, in online games, people now want to own their in-game items. And how could network states be governed? And, so there's lots of cool ideas. I put out a blog post and tweet about that too.
Hold on. Found something. Anyways, on Cointelegraph. Let's see. What is this? Coinbase wants devs to build inflation-pegged flat coins on its new Base network. Oh, okay. So it's entwined. He mentioned Base right before that. Coinbase explained that it is now more important than ever to build an inflation-tracking stablecoin that negates economic uncertainty caused by legacy financial system. Weird. All right. Maybe I'll make another video about all this Coinbase stuff going on. That's neat. I'll put this link in the chat if you guys are interested.
Where is Coinbase at in terms of trading volumes? Are you seeing that improve at all?
Well, it's come down a bit, I would say, since obviously the 2021 highs and things like that. But we're not like unused to these cycles, right? So we see when prices go up, obviously more retail interest. What's interesting in this down market is that we've actually seen there's been a kind of a flight to quality. So we are seeing more institutions come in and sign up, go through our onboarding process. And they're not necessarily moving huge amounts of capital in yet, but they are onboarding and waiting and seeing to say, okay, what's that trigger for them? Maybe it's the blockchains become more scalable, maybe some regulatory clarity, maybe a court case happens. And I think we'll start to see different amounts of capital actually come in at that point.
When does regulation come? What does that even look like?
Well, it's already happening in the world writ large. I mentioned, Europe, the UK, Australia, Canada, Brazil. These regions, UAE, have all been actually very forward-thinking. 83% of the G20 countries now have this crypto legislation either already in place or in progress. It's really, so I don't know if you're asking just about the US, but in the US, I think it'll happen.
In the US?
Yeah, it'll happen in one of a few ways. So one way is the courts. The courts can be the one to provide the clarity regardless of the outcome of the case. Creating case law is a way to get there if the regulators aren't going to provide it. Another way to do it is through Congress, right? Congress is very engaged in this now, passing, looking at this FIT 21 bill that's which just got bipartisan approval in the House. The stablecoin market structure bill also got bipartisan approval in the House. So we'll see how that makes its way through the Senate and the executive branch. The CFTC could step up and assert more authority. I also think, there's a possibility we'll just get a different SEC chair in 2024 or beyond. So we'll try all these things in parallel. Somehow one of them will come through.
Before I let you go, I don't think investors realize how much time you do spend talking to regulators and other politicians. What is that like? Did you expect that when you founded Coinbase?
Well, the role of a CEO is always evolving to what's the most important thing, right? So I started the company really as an engineer, just typing on my laptop, and built the initial version of the app. And then, as something grows, it starts to have a really important role to play in society. And so, yeah, you start to engage with governments, world leaders, banks. And we're at that phase now where we need to make sure that we are an educational resource, that we actually bring the crypto community together to make sure our voice is heard. And there's these great websites like standwithcrypto.org, which are helping the crypto industry come together and say, hey, look, 56 roughly million Americans have used crypto now. It's 5x as many as have electric vehicles, just as an example. And we're voters. We want to donate to candidates that are supporting crypto. We want to show up at town halls. I don't think everybody in DC actually fully realizes how powerful the crypto voting block is. And I think 2024 is an election where the voters of America are really going to hold candidates' feet to the fire and say, what is your position on crypto? Are you going to be a continuation of these existing policies that have been unnecessarily hostile, or are you going to allow this technology to flourish and ensure America's leadership as a technology hub?
Do you see certain folks out there in the political sphere as friendly? Any candidates that you say, wow, if they get elected, my job might become a hell of a lot easier?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to come out and personally endorse anybody, but yes, if you look at the presidential candidates that are in the running today, they're talking about crypto. And so far, as I can tell, all of their comments have been positive. They see it as an opportunity to challenge the policies that the current administration has had in downstream effects with the regulators that they view as not in line with what the American people want. And so I think this could become a hot topic in the presidential race in 2024.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, no shit. Well, it's because it's a hot topic, and if you can seize all of these extra votes by people that are into crypto, why the F not, right? When it's that hard to run against people in general, it's a new catalyst, right? I mean, that's at least my opinion. Anyways, I don't know. All right, let's see. I want to show this. I didn't show this the other day. This is CNBC television. We're trying to turn Bitcoin into a real global payment network. It says Lightspark CEO. So I want to see what he has to say. It's like a 2-minute clip. It's just, I don't know, kind of neat. Something to do with the Lightning Network. So let's get into it.
Our next guest, building a tool to make Bitcoin transactions faster and more scalable. Joining us right now on set is David Marcus, who's the CEO and co-founder of Lightspark. It's a Bitcoin-based payment startup built on the Lightning Network. David was previously president of PayPal and headed Meta's payments venture. We used to talk to him many a times after years of leading Facebook Messenger. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So we were just saying the state of fintech and the state of payments and where we really are. You're working on a new project. I shouldn't even say a new project, but a project around the Lightning Network, which is aimed at basically taking Bitcoin. You can explain it better than I can. Effectively, you take it off chain and then put it back on chain to make these transactions faster.
Yes, actually what we're trying to do is turn Bitcoin into a real global payment network, because we have many tourists walking right outside of the studio right now. If you were to stop one of them and wanting to communicate with them, you could ask them for an email address and you can email them easily the next minute. You could text them, you could add them to a group video chat, you can do all of these things. But if you were to send them money, if they were not a US citizen here in the US using one of the same fintech apps you're using, then you wouldn't be able to do that. And so we're still in the fax era of global payments, and that's what we're attempting to solve.
Good point.
Right. Well, why is that so important, by the way? Because the truth is, I can use Venmo. I mean, others can use services that are connected to each other. Why is that such a terrible answer?
So let's double click on that for a second. So you can use Venmo, but if someone is not using Venmo or is an international tourist walking right outside right now,
but right now, if I have an iPhone and I want to message somebody, I mean, if I don't have WhatsApp and somebody wants to WhatsApp me, they have to get the WhatsApp app.
But you have text, which is universal, where you can actually communicate and reach out to anyone you want in the world with one simple addressing scheme, which is a phone number, which is human readable.
That's a good point.
And you can't do that with money. There's no universal protocol for money on the internet.
That's a really good point, actually.
That actually enables value to be transported through the internet. So if you were to want to send money to one of these people, you would probably need to ask them for a bank account number. The bank account number would be in different format depending on where you are in the world. You would have to actually physically walk to a branch and pay $50 to do an international wire. And if it's after Friday, 5 p.m., tough luck.
And how big a business is that?
it's ginormous, right? It's trillions of dollars of transactions that transit through SWIFT and other payment networks.
Well, let me ask you a separate question, which is around Bitcoin. We've watched the valuation of Bitcoin sort of sit around $25,000, $26,000. We've all been questioning, so where does this go? And does Bitcoin ever really become a currency, which is what you talk about it becoming? Do you think the value of Bitcoin needs to or can move up if it's actually a currency? Meaning, I've always made the argument the currency problem is if you think Bitcoin is going 30 or 50 or $60,000, there's no way I'm going to spend it on a pizza or on anything, frankly. If I think it's going to go down, by the way, I might spend it immediately.
So our view is actually that Bitcoin is not the currency that people will use to buy things, but a fragment of a Bitcoin on top of Lightning is like a small data packet on the internet, only for value. And so you can exchange at the edges of the network and send dollars to someone that will receive Japanese yen on the other side, or send dollars to someone who will receive euros on the other side. And the actual net settlement layer that is used is basically Bitcoin, Lightning, and it settles in real time, cash final, and at a very, very low cost.
Pretty interesting, to say the least. I mean, that's kind of neat. I can't wait to see what happens with Bitcoin, honestly, in the future. All right, let's get into this. Last thing I want to go over is Altcoin Daily, the easiest way to go from 0 to 100,000. I'm hoping this isn't bullshit like yesterday's video on Altcoin Daily's channel. I was quite disappointed. I'm sure we all were, but I'll still like the video. Let's see what this guy has to say. I actually do like Mark. Again, he gives off max voltage vibes. I don't know what it is. But if he was here, he would agree.
Start early in investing. Start early. Don't wait. You can start with any amount of money, $5, $10, $100. Do not wait.
Today, I interview famed investor Mark Yusko, founder of an over $1.5 billion hedge fund, and I ask him 3 simple questions. How did you become rich? What advice have you given to your kids? And if I'm starting with $0 today, what's the easiest way for me to go from 0 to my first $100,000? Mark, let's start with the first question. If you would, finish this sentence. I became rich when I understood blank.
Health is wealth. Nothing else matters unless you have that. I mean, now, I became rich when I got married, when I had kids. I mean, family is what enriches all of us, and relationships, when I have good friends. So all of that. But man, my big epiphany was when I realized that health is wealth, because without it, you got nothing.
Right? It's a good point. It's a good point. If you don't take care of yourself, you're not good to anybody else. You know what I mean?
If you are sick, if you're injured, if you're disabled, and so, and look, I was never terribly unhealthy, but I was not healthy in a lot of ways in my 30s and 40s. And, the light bulb did eventually go on. And look, I'm not,
Wait, what the fuck? In his 30s and 40s, I just turned 35. That means I got to wait 15 years for the light bulb to turn on. What?
A bodybuilding Adonis, but I now focus on health more than I ever have. And
I'm joking.
That was a big one. But I'll finish the sentence. I became rich when I focused on building real relationships. Right? That's the key to life, is real relationships. People that you can say, I love you, whether it's your family, your friends, those relationships, because in the bad times, they're there for you. In the good times, they're to celebrate with you. When you need a friend or someone to help you, they're there. That's rich. If you, and that's the line from It's a Wonderful Life. No one, I can't remember, I'm not going to get it right, but it's something like,
I love that movie.
Judge who's rich by who has friends.
Yeah. It's a great movie. So essentially what you're saying is, or is that why they say more C students than ever are the CEOs, or it's not what you know, it's who you know because of relationships?
Well, so it's definitely who you know and relationships. And getting ahead is interesting in the sense that the C students, there's a perfect inverse correlation between grades in college and gifts to your college, which is really interesting. And more C students work for A students. And here's why. If you're an A+ student, you become a professor, you never make a lot of money, you don't give a lot of money back to your university. Doesn't mean you're not a good person, amazing, creating knowledge, beautiful. If you're an A student, you're a doctor or a lawyer, you do fine. It's a nice living, and you give a little bit back, but you're too busy with the fancy cars and the big houses and, fine. B students, some are successful, some aren't, in between. The C and D students, they got no choice. They either work pretty tough menial jobs or they become entrepreneurs. And the ones that become entrepreneurs, they get back in spades. I mean, huge. The biggest gifts come from people who, didn't crush it. In fact, I say all the time, name the valedictorian from the class of 79 at Harvard. Can't do it. Name a dropout. Bill Gates, right? Name a valedictorian from 2004. Can't do it at Harvard. Name a dropout. Mark Zuckerberg. So plenty of examples of people who, weren't the top of their class, who went on to do amazing things because, you can do what you put your mind to, with discipline and the like. But it is who you know in life. And there's so many examples of that where, like BlackRock's going to get what they want because of who they know.
True. Dumpster fire says it's not who you know, it's who you blow to get ahead.
True. And when you're speaking to your kids who are out in the working world, I assume, what's one piece of advice you give them that, damn, I wish I would have realized this earlier?
Well, my kids don't listen to it. No, I'm just kidding. My kids are great. And so my daughter actually is 34. She's a nurse practitioner. My son is 32. He just, I won't say he retired, but he just transitioned from, he worked at a big company called Snowflake, and he's going to go do something different, more entrepreneurial. That was entrepreneurial, got big and went public, and now he's going to go back and do something entrepreneurial. And then my 12-year-old, he's not working yet. Much to our chagrin. No, I'm just kidding. He's only in 7th grade. So I wish, and I do tell them, and they've actually done a pretty good job of this. So they do listen to me on occasion. Although there's a funny story about my son. When he graduated from college, I said one word. Like there's this famous movie called The Graduate, and in that the guy says one word: plastics. Go into plastics, right? During the 60s. And that would have been good advice. So I said to my son, in 2015, one word: blockchain. And he's like, yeah, Dad, I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a big deal, but I'm just going to go to KPMG. I want to live in San Francisco. I want to live there my whole life. And I said, you're going to hate it, which he did. He quit after 9 months because it's a terrible job. And it's a good company, but the job he was doing, auditing, horrible. And he wanted to be in tech. And so I had told him to go get a job at Coinbase, and he didn't do that. So when Coinbase went public, he called me up and said, all right, fine, Dad, you were right, but you're not as smart as you think you are. I'm like, oh, do tell. I told you to go to work at Coinbase. He's like, yeah, but you didn't lever up the house and put all in Bitcoin. Like, you little shit. That is a fact. Okay, fine. Because I didn't have the conviction back in 15 that I do today. So now
I don't advise that on anybody, though. Leveraging your house, like, putting it all in Bitcoin. I mean, that's a huge gamble, but at the same time, it's worked for a lot of people. I mean, a few people anyways that we know of.
He ended up going to Snowflake, did great. I mean, and so I'm really proud of him, but it was just kind of funny because he didn't really take my advice. But now the one advice he has taken, which is the point of your question, start early in investing. Start early. Don't wait. You can start with any amount of money, $5, $10, $100. Do not wait. And it's so important to start early and to do it often. Most people are so afraid of being wrong and losing money that they're paralyzed and they don't do anything. I say this all the time. Winners lose more than losers because winners lose all the time, but they don't even remember losing. They just go on to the next thing because the great player focuses on the next play, not the last play. Losers are so afraid of losing, they never do anything. And so they never lose. So they can say, I never lost.
True.
But you never did anything either. The winner, they lost lots of times, but they fail fast, fail forward, Before it was uncool not to quote
true.
Will Smith. That's a Will Smith quote. You should fail fast, fail forward. And I would say to anyone who's younger, just do it, right? Steal the line from Nike. Just get in there and engage and invest. And don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify, try a lot of different things. That's the other second piece of advice that I wish I would have gotten earlier. Take risks when you're young, right? Don't go to the big company that's safe. Go to the little startup. Take the risk when you're young, because if you fail, you can just go get another job, right? It's funny. My first boss, and I didn't understand it at the time. I was stressing out because, I wasn't getting promoted fast enough. And he said, Mark, look, you could build sailboats in your backyard for the next 5 years and it wouldn't matter. What are you talking about? He says, in 5 years, you'll still be a guy with a Notre Dame degree and a Chicago MBA, and you get a job. Just do what you love. Interesting. And actually, I should have taken time off and gone sailing or taught fly fishing. But I was the dutiful firstborn, and I was going to have that big company job. But take more risks and start early would be the two.
That's really sound advice. And maybe we already answered this. If we have, you can punt, but like, if I want to start early and, I have limited money and I want to take risks.
Yeah.
More of a fun question, but how do I go from like that $0 to my first $100,000?
I don't know what he's going to say here, but I honestly believe that it's just a waiting game at this point when it comes to Bitcoin and investing. You dollar cost average $20 a week. You know what I mean? You get a paycheck, put $20 into it. Are you really going to be that upset if you lose that $20? You know what I mean? But over time, it's going to accumulate. And then you're also getting Bitcoin. And then it could also appreciate like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. You never know, It's just one of those things. But let's see what he has to say about this.
Look, and it's not easy, but it's possible. And nothing worth doing is easy, right? If you do something and it's easy, go do something else, right?
And it sounds too good to be true. It probably is. So just be careful of scams and all that bullshit. When you think you can make a whole bunch of money, it's probably not true.
If it's easy right? for you, go do something else. Do something hard. Because if you stay in your comfort zone where things are easy, you don't grow.
Very
right?
true.
And think about it. If you work out, you feel sore because there's pain. Pain means there's growth. And look, I'm a biology guy, a biology and chemistry major in college. And there's only 2 states in biology: growth and death. I prefer the former. I don't like the latter. And so it's all about growth. So do what's hard. And what's hard in investing and going from 0 to 100K is getting started. Oh, I don't have $1,000 to invest. You don't need 1,000. Start with 5, start with 10. And in today's day and age, it's a lot easier. When I was growing up, you had to have a certain amount to even get a brokerage account. Now, most people are like, what's a broker? I have a Robinhood account, or I have a crypto trading account. So you can start with infinitesimally small amounts of money in a no transaction cost world. But a couple things. One, most people, the vast majority, 99.9%, are not going to trade their way to the 100K. They're just not. Trading is really, really hard. And most people are really bad at it because human beings, we buy what we wish we would have bought. So we buy it after it goes up and we sell what we're about to need. So we sell it after the loss. And we do that over and over and over, and we negative compound. And that's the wrong way to do it. So the way to go from 0 to 100 is a couple of things. One, invest in what you know, right? If you know a lot about technology, invest in technology. If you know a lot about biotechnology, invest in biotechnology. If you know a lot about nutrition, go invest in food science. If you know a lot about,
real estate,
you invest in real estate. So it doesn't matter what you know about, just invest in it. The other thing is invest early, right? And invest often. And what I mean by early is don't wait for NVIDIA to become a $1 trillion company and then say, oh, now I'm going to buy it.
Right.
Buy it when everybody hated it because, they just make video cards and there are games and gaming makes you stupid and video games are horrible.
This guy's smart as shit. Everything he's saying is on point.
By the way, if you haven't seen Gran Turismo, go see it. One of the best movies. I mean, it's right there with Maverick. It's not quite Maverick, but it's right there.
Maverick was awesome.
Maverick. And the story is amazing. And the fact that it's true is amazing. And the fact, look, when people say it rots your brain, buy it, right? They say, whatever the adults say rots your brain, go buy that. Because they said, computers will rot your brain, video games will rot your brain.
No, but it definitely hurts your eyes if you look at the screen too much. My eyes have been killing me the last like 3 days.
Now we got psychedelics. Oh, it's going to look, there's a lot of great applications for psychedelics in medicine. So there's all kinds of things, but you got to be early and you got to be willing literally to lose it all, but keep it small, right? In that get rich bucket.
I've been there.
And going from 0 to 100 is about getting rich. It's not about staying rich, it's about getting rich. Concentrated bets, small, because there's a bell curve. And on the left-hand tail are the zeros. And if you don't have zeros, you're not doing it right. You got to have zeros. You got to have things where you put the money in and it literally goes away, because if it can't go to 0, it can't go up 10 times or 20 times or 100 times.
Facts.
And that doesn't happen very often. That's the right-hand tail. And most of the time, you're going to make some or a little, or maybe get your money back. Those are fine. And you just recycle into new ideas. Read popular mechanics, read popular science, go to the message boards, find the craziest thing people are talking about and buy little pieces of it. And then don't watch it incessantly, right? Don't agonize over it. Keep trying to find the new ideas. And as long as your new idea funnel is really high, and you keep throwing stuff in, eventually some good stuff's going to pop out the bottom. And the ones that go away, don't obsess about them. Cherish them. Put them on the wall, right? Failure is fine because you took the risk. I mean, I got tons of examples of things we put money in that went to 0. So be it. I also, put some money in this company called Google, and it went up 400 times.
Jesus.
Right? One of my favorites, and this is not crazy. A tech thing, but the other way to get rich is the
Imagine
law
getting a 400x. Holy shit, that's crazy.
Of 90%. When something's down 90%, take a look at it. It might go all the way to down 100, but if it doesn't, it's going to go up a lot. And so
that's a good point too.
Troll through that down 90% and look for nuggets. And one of the nuggets, and I'll leave you with this story and then let you go, is I had this buddy who was a big investor in Russia. He was early, and long story short. So when Russia collapsed in 1998, I actually was with him at the airport at LaGuardia. And he literally, this old school, he kept the RTS on a piece of graph paper in pencil. And it was down 95%. The whole index was down 95%. And he said, you got to buy this. You got to buy Russia. I'm like, okay, whatever. And so, I had young kids at the time. And I said, all right, fine. I'm going to buy my 2 kids $1,000 worth of Russia. There was only one listed stock in the United States. And I didn't know how to invest in London or directly in Russia. So I bought this company, AO Tatneft. And the reason I bought it is Exxon at the time was selling, and their oil was priced at $11 a barrel on their balance sheet. AO Tatneft, which had similar amount of oil to Exxon, their oil was priced at 3 cents per barrel. It's just oil. It's the same stuff coming out of the ground. 3 cents, maybe it's never going to $11, but it's not going to be at 3 cents. And, the stock went up 40 times.
Jeez.
Now, again, it's in my kids' trust and, gave them some money for college, but it was a risk. And it could have gone to 0, right? They could have sanctioned it and put it out of business. Fine, then go buy something else. But those are the 2 things. So constant innovation as an asset class. It's my pinned tweet. You got to invest in things you believe in before others understand. And then the rubbish bin of the down 90, 95%. Those are the 2 ways.
Pretty awesome. This video is terrible, by the way. This other one right here, that's it's suggested at the end. Not a good video, but anyways, that guy Mark is extremely, I guess, intelligent. Change his lights back to blue. All right. So I don't know. I put a poll in the chat. I wanted to know if you guys have ever taken a risk when you were younger, because he's correct in that sense, right? Like I took risk when I started my plumbing company, when I first, like, you know, wanted to start doing plumbing, and I would never do that again right now. Like, I would never be able to do that again. It was crazy how it happened, actually. So, like, I grew up, my parents didn't have anything, you know, struggling through whatever. And I knew I didn't want to be that when I grew up. So, like, I wanted to start a career and just get off the ground running, right? So I went to a technical high school. I got my journeyman plumber's license when I got out, like a year and 10 months later, because I had a job through high school. And then I got my master's a year after that. And I remember I saved every penny that I had to buy a house, to get out of my parents' house. And that was like, I think it was like I ended up saving like $13,500. I think it was like $13,500, if I'm not mistaken. And I dropped every single penny of it on this house. And I was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. I need to get out of this house. So I just put it all down. I had $0, moved into my house, barely had shit to buy, or money to buy shit to move into my house. You know what I mean? And I just worked my ass off. I remember, I'll after this thing reads this, I'll get into it. Mr. Rud puts, thanks for the 249 super chat. You're awesome.
Smeagol AI, he was lucky not smart. Smiley face, rock on gesture, praying gesture, backhand test.
Rock on gesture, praying gesture, backhand test. All right. So anyways, thank you very much. Again, I appreciate that. So I moved into this house, barely had any money to do anything with it, right? Just kept working, kept saving money. And then I was working for my boss. He was a dickhead. So I ended up just quitting my job. Like, I got a new truck shortly after I bought the house, and then I ended up quitting my job. So I had a mortgage, a truck payment, and a master's license. And I was like, I need to make this shit work. And I will never forget, I was working 2 jobs when I quit my job. I worked at a hardware store at night, basically promoting myself in like the plumbing section, right? To like do side work, change faucets, whatever. And then luckily I got a clear break, and I got my first house. And then after that, it just kept rolling. But like, literally, it was that whole first year of me taking that leap was like, it was terrifying. It was so scary. I had my truck, I had a $700 a month truck payment, and then I had just a mortgage it was normal. It was like $2,000 or whatever. So that's like $3,000 that I needed just to live right off the bat. It was insane, but I would never be able to take that same risk today that I took then. But if you don't take risks, you'll never succeed. It's just, you have to take some sort of risk. So in the chat, the poll that I put, 100%, or yes, 100% of you guys that took risks, with 32% of yous. We have nope, 52%, and kinda, 16%. I appreciate you guys answering that. It's kind of neat, but I'd like to know some of your stories. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool to think about, like, just how my life played out doing that stuff. And then over the course of the years, actually, I lived in that house for, I think it was 10 years, 9 years. I think it was almost 10 years. I lived in that house, and I ended up selling it for a third more than I bought it for. So I made like a killing off this house. Actually, yeah. No, yeah. It was like a third more than I bought it for. Or 2/3 more than I bought it for. Sorry. It was 2/3 more than I bought it for. So I made a killing off that house because I flipped it the whole time I lived there. I like redid a bathroom. Actually, I redid the bathroom like 3 freaking times, but I ended up gutting my entire house and rebuilding it like from the ground up, and it worked out perfect. So that's kind of why we got to where we're at today, which is awesome. But anyways, do we have any other questions? Let's see. I'd cry with a $700 a month truck payment, dude. Yeah, Sadie, it was, well, I was making a lot of money at my job, but I just couldn't take my boss being a dick anymore. It was just, I was already doing side work every night. I was working 2 jobs. I was like, fuck this guy. I don't need this shit anymore. I'm just going on my own. And it was scary not having that actual payment. Like, I mean, that actual income coming in to make that payment. That's what was scary. My 20-year-old truck is paid off, $300 a month for repairs. Budweiser, yeah, that's a problem with owning old trucks, and I don't envy that at all. Let's see. Am I hungry? What do you mean, am I hungry? Like for actual food or for like something else to invest in? No, I mean, no, I'm okay. I'm okay, Pocket Change, if you're cooking. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Car payments are insane. Insane. I'm not even gonna, like, you guys would cry if you knew what I paid for my last car. It's absurd how much I had to pay a month for it. It's crazy. It was like a mortgage payment. I'm not even kidding. Patrick Murphy said, did you worry that your employees would look at you like you looked at your former boss? No, because I knew what to do. I knew how to treat them. You know what I mean? I never yelled at them. I just let them, like, they did the job. I just told them, like, hey, this job needs to get done. If it didn't get done, whatever, we'd figure it out. But I would never treat them like I was treated, like getting yelled at constantly and just treated like shit. Like, really treated like shit. Or like everything you do is wrong. Something's wrong. Like, why is it wrong? No, it's because you wanted it done this way, but this way is the exact same thing. It's just not the way you did it. Or not the way you'd want to do it. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's like I ended up running a successful business for like, I don't even know, 8 years. Yeah, it was pretty good. I had 14 guys working for me at one point. It was a lot. It was a lot, but it was the stress is the thing that really gets to you. Like, I could still be doing it today. If I wanted to pick up the tools and go do it again, I could do it. But it's too much, man. It's so much stress. And then literally babysitting adults all day. That's what you're doing. You're running an adult daycare, trying to make sure they come to work, they do the right thing, they don't fuck up the job, they don't like do something stupid, no smoking on the job site, like just dumb shit. You know what I mean? It's like just wrangling kids all day. And then also the hardest part about my job running that business was hiring older people, actually. And it wasn't like saying they were old, right? It was just older than me, because they'd look at you like, wait, you're my boss? You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those things. But like, yeah, I'm your boss. Yeah, I'm sorry that you're older than me, but I know more than you. Like, I'm sorry. That's just how it goes. So when it came to plumbing, I was successful. I was very good at plumbing. But it's just, yeah, that was one of the challenges for sure. I do construction management. Nothing but stroking egos all day. Two bros. Yeah, it's true. You have to like go, like, I'd show up at lunchtime, just give the guys pizza. I'd go buy them coffee. I'd just like, whatever, you know what I mean? If I wasn't on the job, I'd pop in and say hello and give them stuff. But like, yeah, it's honestly like the background stress that they never saw. You don't understand it. Like, I will never forget. I took this one giant job. It was my first job that was to this scale. It was a 27 unit building, I think. It was 27 unit building. This is when I had the 14 guys working for me. I had $100,000 on my credit card. All right, because I was paying the stock bill. And so your credit card, what I did was, like, at the supply house, I have like a tab that I could run up, pay it off my credit card. I would collect the extra points from the credit card, like I'd get the free money, right? And then I would pay it off the next month before I got hit with interest. So basically they'd pay me to use their card. Worked out perfect, but it was scary as shit because I had to put in a pull for like a draw. You have to put in like whatever your tab is for that month. You got to give like the rec so they could pull it, and they have to get it approved and all that. So I had to like wait for this money to come in, but I had like a week, 2 weeks to get this money and to get this thing paid so I could not get hit with like a $20,000 interest bill. So that shit was the craziest thing I've ever had to deal with. It was brutal. It was just a lot of stress, man. It was so much stress, but it was worth it at the end of the day, you know? Let's see. Rondi, member for 27 months, dude. Thank you so much and happy birthday. Today is my man Rondi's birthday, actually. Happy birthday, buddy. Another year, closer to 70. I just hit halfway there yesterday. And DJ was actually the birthday. He was the 12th. I'm the 13th. You're the 14th. So crazy. He said, no worries, Brodies. In a few years, the kids will be in school and you'll have more time on your hands to start business number 2. Yeah, that's kind of the goal. That's the plan. Once the kids are in school, I'll have something. I'll get like a job that I can work during the day, or I'll just do work during the day, side job type deal stuff. But yeah, eventually. It's hard though. But taking risks when you're younger is definitely a good idea. I mean, even if it goes to 0, even if you fail, at least you tried. You know what I mean? That means more than anything. It's better for you as a person to learn that way through trial and error versus just, never taking that risk and always being scared to do it. I feel like getting into mining has been my big risk. Yeah, some people it is. Yeah, some people it is because like you spend so much money on hardware and now you're just kind of like, you know, in the dark waiting for it to come back, and that's tough. That's tough. But at the same time, it could pay off. You never know. It could pay off soon, and I hope it does, because, like, I mean, dude, I'm in the same position. I have a shit ton of hardware, a bunch of money I dropped on hardware, and I'm hoping that it pops back off where we can either continue to mine or we can sell this shit for way more. Why not? But at the end of the day, yeah, Fred Puts, you're correct. Mining is a hobby at the end of the day, so you guys got to do it with reason. You know what I mean? Don't screw yourself over. Let's see. Happy birthday, Rondi. You and everyone else, Galaxy Synthesis. Thank you very much. And yes, happy birthday, Rondi. Hopefully you guys have it, or you have a great day over there at your house. Black Cat, thanks for being a member for 13 months, by the way. I don't even know if I said that, but you're awesome. All right, guys, I gotta get back to daddy duty. Wife needs to get to work, so hopefully you guys have a great and happy Thursday. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. And until then, see you soon. Have a good one. Peace, peace. Rondi, what are you doing? Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that very much. But don't do that. It's your birthday too, you bastard. Love you, buddy. Have a good day. Hit that like on the way out. Peace.